Hello. Okay, so my metaphor is kind of cheesy, if you know what I mean. Ha ha ha. Anyway, so how many of you have ever been to the beach camp Harvey Cedars? Yeah, you're cool. Okay, so this metaphor actually came up when I was at Harvey Cedars this last summer. I've been having a lot of doubts about my faith, that I wasn't good enough to serve the Lord, that I just was, how could I be cleansed of my sins? I mean, I know I didn't do anything like terribly bad, but I just felt terribly guilty inside all the time. And then on the last night when we were there, the chapel really hit me hard. Like, we were talking about how like God gives us grace no matter what, and even though we sin, He still loves us either way. Now, I couldn't bring myself to believe that. So I did the only sensible thing that a teenage girl could do. I ran to the bathroom and I cried. I cried my eyes out. I am a huge crybaby, but this was a big deal. I was utterly sobbing. It was gross sobbing. It was terrible. And so then when I came out of the bathroom, I tried not to have anybody, I tried not to make eye contact with anyone, because, there's nothing worse than having the crying rag face, when your cheeks are all puffy and you look like you got in a fight with a beehive and lost. Well, so I was just sitting there trying to collect myself back together, but I was still like, it was a mess. But, so then my leader comes over and he just plops down right next to me and he looks at me and says, "What's up?" And I'm like, and so, I'm explaining to him what is going on in my head right now. The main thing is, I want to believe that God wants this for me, but I don't believe it. I can't bring myself to believe that. So he sits in silence for a moment, and he looks over at me. "Danica? Yeah? What's your favorite food?" "What?" Cheese fries, I guess." And then he says, "Well, God's grace is kind of like cheese fries. You didn't really ever determine that it was your favorite food until you tried it, right? Well, that's kind of how God's grace is. You hear about how good it is. You can smell how good it is. Well, you can't really smell how good it is, but you see how good it is. And you don't really know what it's like until you try it." And so I'm like, that makes sense. I thought that was pretty interesting. But that metaphor never really came up until winter camp this year, when I was still struggling with the same exact thoughts. But then, during worship time, I guess, I don't know, it just suddenly clicked that, you know what? God isn't out to convict me. He's out to show me that even though I sin, well, of course we shouldn't sin in order to make our hurts multiply, but even though I sin, I'm still loved. God still can use me. And God's grace is like that cheese oozing over the cheese fries, and it's freaking delicious.